Day 642 off the grid and some impromptu battery maintenance. I've been noticing for a while that the second bank of batteries here, the lower bank, has been not performing as well as the upper bank for quite some time, and I've suspected that one of these batteries in that bank has gone fut. You know, it's turned into a 10 volt battery. Well, after doing some tests last night, I found out that was indeed the case. So this battery here, which is the second to last battery of that bunch of 150 amp hour AGMs I bought a while back, quite a while back now. They were fairly cheap second hand, but obviously at the end of their lives, and they're coming to that right now. This one here has already been long since disconnected, and it's sitting at about 10.5 volts. Now this one's gone the same way. I need this 24 volt battery bank in the B shed to be up and running to run the electric sheep and also our new toaster, which I should make a video of too, as well as the toaster oven and stuff. You know, this battery bank's going to be quite busy coming summer to run electric things that we would normally do by coal range and whatnot over the winter. So time to remove these batteries, I think, and put something else in. That's going to involve tearing this bank apart temporarily while I relocate these. Unfortunately, I haven't been lucky over the last few months to acquire any cheap batteries, so I'm just going to have to shuffle batteries around, and I know where I'm going to get the batteries from, and I'll just show that. So after much thought last night, I've decided to replace the faulty AGM battery with this 130 amp hour battery here, this Crown flooded battery that's been forming part quite successfully over the winter of this backup battery bank here that I installed, which you've probably seen videos on. But now I'm going to pinch this battery and put it in the B shed, probably replacing it with something else here, but bearing in mind this is a backup bank, so I've got quite a big scope as to what I can replace it with. But that's the battery I'm going to use, so we'll get on with it. So as we conclude day 642 off the grid, you'll see that I've achieved one of my main objectives of today, and it hasn't even rained yet despite this threatening sky. Yes, I did some gay lawning. I bought out the electric sheep and the lawns look lovely again. They really do look good when they're mowed, I think. Bit of effort though, because the grass was so long, it was right on the borderline edge of what that electric sheep could cope with. If I'd let it go another few days, it would have been even worse. Anyway, it's batteries you're interested in. These batteries here are from that 12 volt pack of starter batteries I had in the B shed. They will be going back in, although not necessarily all of them into that pack, because while they're apart, I've decided now I'm going to use this opportunity to test through each one with my handy dandy battery condition tester and figure out which ones are weak and which ones are strong, and maybe eliminate the weak ones. It's going to be a bit dark in here. Currently I'm just using this, I think it's an Exide, is it? It's a Century, I think it's a Century. Yes, a Century. It's old Century tractor battery or something to run the ding-dongs, because the main pack is of course dismantled. This is in not very good nick, as you can see after a day of not the greatest charging. It's only sitting at 12.2. There's the final battery of the pack there. Now, over here in the darkness, you can just make it out. There's that 130 amp hour Crown, which is now part of my B bank. So the B bank's down there. Well, not the B bank, the B shed, but the 24 volt system in the B shed. There it is. Now we've made some toast, as well as using it to run the electric sheep, of course, all day to do the lawn. And it seems to be working pretty well. It's not sharing the current 50-50 with the AGM that it's in parallel with, but it's sort of about 2/3, 1/3, which is the same for the other side. Because the final 150 amp hour AGM that remains is probably slowly on the way out too, so fuck knows what to do when that goes. Are you going, look, you've put flooded batteries and sealed batteries on the same circuit. Isn't that a bad thing to do? Well, you know what, it might be. But we'll just deal with that as it comes. I'm really not too sure what these BP controllers are really designed to run, whether they're designed to run AGMs or in fact flooded. Who knows, maybe that's what brought about the demise of the AGMs. Maybe they're giving it too much oomph. I don't think so, because I've been keeping an eye on the voltages and it never really lets it go above 14, so I may have to do something to keep this flooded battery conditioned now and then. Some clever whiz-bang little circuit, you know what I'm like. Things like that. It's all fun and games, isn't it? Oh, there's the timer, of course. That has been really, really good throughout the winter to just turn that on, give a couple of hours boost to the main 24 volt batteries, which have been running the fridge and the caravan fridge cum freezer, and of course our electric blankets all winter. No need for electric blankets now, and really no need for boost, but it's been good. Time has been really good. Okay, we'll go and see what I've done in the other shed. Oh, and here are the two 150 amp hour batteries sitting here in disgrace. 10 volt batteries, both of them now. One has been for quite some time and one just recently joined that fraternity. I've been wondering where to put them. One option is to put them in this case here, which did have batteries in it but it's now empty. I believe that two of them will fit in there side by side just nicely. However, what I think is practicable and more likely now, because it is to actually put them in here. What I'll probably do is pull these ones out, throw those ones in because they're sealed batteries, they don't need maintenance, and just stack these ones on top. In fact, these are all sealed batteries too, for that matter. They are flooded, but they're sealed flooded. Although you can peel these stickers off, and that one looks like it's coming. Some of them take this bit of plastic off and get to them to water them, but I can't be bothered with that at the moment, so just treating them as sealed. And anyway, we're not over pumping them anyway on the circuit. The 10 volt bank has been really useful. I used it the other night because, you know, the weather lately hasn't been that great. We're getting a lot of this greyness, but haven't had to use the generator though, eh? It's fantastic once you hit the day of spring equinox, you know, everything sort of changes. But there we go. There's my 10 volt bank. That's still part of the 12 volt backup bank, of course. It's running on a separate circuit out through that tube there. I've put this desulfator on it. Still the jury's out as to their effectiveness. I'm highly doubtful, but they're kind of a fun thing to have. These batteries are sitting at 11.3, which isn't bad. They were heavily used the other day and they haven't had the best charge. The little light's been soldering on, working wonderfully, yes. But anyway, this is what I want to actually show you, what I've replaced here. And as I said, I've used this X-side battery here that I got recently from the garage. It's actually in really good nick, probably not good nick to start a car, but it showed some promise. In fact, it actually read really good on the battery tester, so I wonder why they chucked it out. Maybe someone just wanted a new battery. Some people do that, chuck out perfectly good things just because they're getting a bit old. Let's hope it's that. But I've just wired it in. As you can see, slightly neater setup now. Slightly more compact. Though it still sticks out as far, so no real advantage there. Oh, and I got the battery tester mounted on the wall. I just got this plate here, which actually was the original internal plate of this case here, which I didn't need for the mounting of the regulator, which, by the way, is going really well too. I just used the plate out of it, screwed it to the wall, and this has got a magnet on the back, so it's clipped in, so I can leave it here for as long as I want, and it acts as a useful volt indicator. It's not highly accurate, but it gives a good guide, and if I want to use it for other things, well, that's cool. I bought that in Masterton on the way to Castle Point, I think, for the winter solstice of 2015. It's got one of those Castle Point connections there, you know, like that. Well, while we're in here, there's one more thing I want to talk about. Ah, here we go. the Voltronic MPPT charge controller. Had one issue with this. I replaced the 15 amp fuse when I first installed that, and I think I talked about that. But just before we went to Castle Point, I found it blowing again. I've since installed a 10 amp fuse, and that hasn't blown. I'm not really sure why it blew, but the solar panel itself is only capable of putting out about 5 or 6 amps, so it couldn't blow the fuse, so it had to be a backfeed from the battery somehow, which is a little bit of a worry. You know, maybe the guy did have a reason to sneakily sell it, you know. Something obviously temporarily shorts under certain conditions, but it hasn't happened again. But that's not what I really want to say about this. MPPT, well, you know, so 5 amps comes in and 5.5 amps goes to the A bank because of the MPPT action. Well, you know, that's fine and all, but I don't really think that makes much of a difference. I could put a PWM controller here and I think I'd get much the same result. But one thing that is for sure is having this extra charge controller and the separate solar panel dedicated to the A bank is really, really nice, because what that's allowed to happen is it's made the operation of charging the A bank completely automatic now. Before, I used to have to come out here now and then and flick the missile switch and go up to 14.5 volts to give it a good zhuzh up, you know, and then remember to set it back down. But since I've had this extra circuit with that 150 watt panel out there assisting to charge those batteries, I've basically been able just to leave this in low gear and 14 volt mode and just let this take care of the topping, which, yeah, it's been really cool. So this will probably be a permanent part of the stim. Not necessarily the Voltronic if it fails again, but a small charge controller. Could be the other MPPT one I have, because this is a separate circuit solar, so it doesn't matter if it's positive earth, negative earth, doesn't matter. Or just a PWM one I have. It really doesn't make much difference, I don't think. I mean, you know, when over 50 amps comes in from the main array and at least 30 amps of that usually hits those batteries. I mean, whether this thing's putting out 5 amps or 5.5, well, you know, yeah, the MPPT works, and works well, but doesn't make much difference. But anyway, there's my battery bank. So I've got the boost converter. So this crazy wiring here for the 10 volt bank, got to tidy that up a bit. Still got this little extra 15 watt panel that's up on the roof directly. This wire essentially directly connects to the 10 volt battery bank outside, so it's constantly feeding those batteries without any charge controller or anything on it. But it's only a 15 watt panel and it's in summer position, which it'll do a bit more when it comes summer, but it doesn't make much difference. Doesn't overcharge them, put it that way. Yeah, so that's basically it. Day 642 off the grid. Actually, there was one other thing. This balancer here, this shunt regulator, it's been working fairly well. It hasn't made these batteries nice and balanced yet, but at least it's stopping the higher battery from going too high. That much it's doing quite well. Today I found that it was passing 600 milliamps, so I decided to be a devil and take this bulb out of the circuit, so its 200 millivolt voltage drop was no longer there. And that resulted in it now passing a current of 800 milliamps, which I think is better. There is a bit of voltage drop in these thin clip leads, so once I use the proper leads, it'll probably be even less, and it'll probably start passing a current of around about an amp I'm picking. Of course, if I don't have a bulb in circuit, there's no safety device should the voltage here get really high, and that could pass a lot of current, so I think I'll just simply install a fuse. Because the nice thing is, if you put a fuse in series with this and it blows, the LEDs go out, thus telling you you have a fault. They of course perform a dual function. They are indicators going, oh, it's on, but they're also being the voltage reference. And that is it for day 642.